everybody. This is the Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. Thank you so much for joining us on the live stream today for this week. It's Comic Relief Day, which is my son kept asking me if I was going to do something for Comic Relief, and I completely forgot up until now. I should at least have a nose on or something like that. But hey, how's it going, guys? How's it going, Mega Man? Rifat, you're here, good. Fist 007, hey, how's it going? So this week has been a kind of a well, I guess it was a turbulent week, maybe. I mean, there's a lot of weeks that are like that, but for me, a lot of my focus lately has been on Brexit and the economy and all this kind of stuff. So that's what that's kind of my, I want to say that's my focus, but it just seems to be kind of interfering with a lot of stuff at the moment. But you know, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, over the next few weeks, I'm sure I'll tell you guys more about what's happening. I'm changing things around a little bit here out of necessity, and but it's still the thing I love doing every day is doing the daily videos and that kind of stuff and putting stuff out. Rifat says, congratulations on being persistent. Admire the passion. Thanks, Rifat. I appreciate it, and I admire your passion too. When you came here, we had a really good conversation about all the work that you're doing and everything, and all the people that you've been reaching out to. And I wish I had that kind of passion too, because I spent a lot of time sitting in the office, and today I've been looking at Android code. That was written about a month ago that we finally got around to testing now. The developer should have tested it, but it was supposed to do base64 encode a file, and what it was doing was base64 encoding an empty string. Oh God! I mean, I should have known. Like when I looked at it, I could find base64 encode. It should have been a very long string, like huge for the file size, and it was like 84 characters long. I was like, hang on a second. Surely, even if you weren't able to decrypt this, even if you didn't test it, you should have been able to know that. It's just this kind of stuff. Dealing with developers lately, and just a lot of this kind of stuff. So let's see. Fist 007 says, I've had a wisdom tooth removed. I'm in such pain. Oh man, I've had that. I had that happen when I was in the army. I had wisdom tooth removed, and I had it just before I got out of the army because I needed to have it done. And everyone was like, well, you could do it for free because you're in the army. You might as well get it done before you get out. So I did it like a month before I got out of the army, and I could remember. That's when I found out I was allergic to codeine. I don't have any allergies except for codeine, which is what they gave me. So they took out the wisdom tooth, and then I threw up everywhere. I was just constantly it was terrible. Oh, I hated that. So I hope you're all right, Fist 007. But those wisdom teeth got to go, especially if they're going sideways. Rifat says, a question: meaningful work and universal basic income. Will there be a time when there won't be any work and people would get depressed and get a universal basic income? I can't see any other way out of it. I mean, with automation alone, because automation takes away all of our factory jobs and all of our the jobs that, like, if I could show somebody exactly what to do, like an assembly line, you do this, do this, do this. Like when I was working in a factory, that's the only reason I would get somebody to do that is because I could not automate that process, and that's an easy thing to automate. The thing with machine learning and a lot of these, like that thing at Google I/O last year where they had the call center, or being able to call out and be able to answer all the questions using, I think it was Dialogflow. That was scary because that's even more things that are replaceable, more jobs that can be taken away from us. And I mean, it's not scary really, because the whole idea, like even as a kid, I remember thinking, wait a second, so in order to live, I get to work 40 hours a week, like 5 days a week, and that doesn't include commuting. In order to get to that stage, if I'm lucky enough to have a life like that, I have to go to school for a whole bunch of years, and then as a reward, I get Saturday and Sunday off. That's what it's like to be a human being. That never made sense to me. It still doesn't make sense to me that we have to work as much as we do. But I do think, yeah, you're right. You know what? If I just sat around with no job, I would get depressed. I mean, just alone with your thoughts. I frequently get to the point where I think, you know what? I just wish I could just take the weekend off and just lay around the house. And there's been days where I've done that, where I just sit and watch I'll watch like 2 movies on a Sunday afternoon. Just sit and watch a movie. And for some reason on Sunday afternoons, that's what like cowboy movies are on. So I'll sit and watch a cowboy movie like my dad would have when I was a kid, and I'll just sit there. And then you just get to the point where you just got to get up and walk around. You're like, oh man, like cabin fever just gets you. And I think that would be the case. I think, yeah, without jobs, we would have to have something to do, unless we all become like, you know what would be like, I think this is why gaming is going to be really big, because it just keeps people's brains active when they don't have anything to do. But it'd be nice that if somebody could do something that contributed to society, right? Just like, and I know that games are good. I'm not saying anything bad about games. It's just like I never have time to play games. That's my thing. And my kids give me a hard time, say, Dad, why don't you ever play games? It's your job, Dad. If you make games, why can't you play games? And it's just like, I just don't really have the time. But I am able to sit here and figure out why base 64 encoding is not going through properly for like 2 hours. But then like, it gets back into the whole thing where you're pushing forward and doing that. But that's a really good point. But I think in our lifetimes we're going to see the case where you just everyone can't have a job. I mean, think of how many jobs, how many marketing companies do we need, really? I mean, in a square mile radius, how many social media companies do we need? You know, we could do all your social media for you. You know what? If you wanna do a dare, if you guys want to play Truth or Dare, somebody go on Twitter and tweet, God, I wish I had somebody out there to manage my social media, and just stand back and watch the onslaught of people, companies contact you saying, we could do your social media for you, because it's the kind of thing you should be able to do yourself, but it's like a low-skilled early entry thing. And but but people need jobs. You need work. Like, we can't. I'm at the point now where I think when I was a kid, I would think like, why don't they just go get a job? And now you're like, what are we gonna do? And so yeah, I think a basic universal income, we're gonna have to get it. Rifat says, use the NHS for the first time when I needed tooth filling this week. Oh, how did it go? I don't think the I don't think the NHS is that bad, but I went a couple weeks ago, and it's like the military doctor. It reminds me of military doctors. It's not. I can't. There's been a few times, like, because most of the time growing up, we had military doctors. My dad's in the military, and my mom wasn't. So like when my mom was like private health, so it was a much nicer experience. But it's like, I've really known the military thing, so I've never been that bothered with the NHS. I do know that they don't give you as many tests as. I mean, my opinion, and again, this is just my opinion. Like, I've been living here 20 years. I'm an American. I don't read that much on this subject. Is that when I go to see a doctor, they'll start saying, well, based on your age, it's probably this. Based on this, they don't run through the whole gamut of expensive tests. Because it would be really expensive, where like they would in the States. But at the same time, we don't pay like loads for medical. So let's see. Jay Kapadia says, suggest some changes or improvements about my app. Okay, sure, since you asked so nicely. Let's see. Let's take a look at this for Jay. And so we're going to look at our first app over here. It's called Quotes Wallpaper. Hang on just 1 second here. Let's move. I hope you guys can hear me okay. All right, so this one is for Jay Kapadia. Suggest some changes or improvements for my app. And it's called Quotes Wallpaper HD. Now, let's see. Download, share, explore huge design wallpaper. So how are you? So you actually got 58 reviews. That's not bad. They're all 5 stars. Are those real reviews? Hats off to the developer of this app. Wow, that looks really good. So how are you getting it in front of people? So you've got 58 reviews. 58 5-star reviews. Nobody even doing a 4-star. 500 plus installs. I mean, I think the icon. I mean, for me, daily auto change wallpaper, Quotes Wallpaper HD wallpaper. So we got the screenshots over here. We've got set as wallpaper. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's go through the screenshot journey. Download. I think there's a lots of things we could say about this, Jay. But I mean, and again, we always come back to the thing, like we could have a look at. I think you could change some stuff about the screenshots, because you have the app in the app in a phone frame with a white background. I mean, there's more you could put in the background, I'd imagine, and you have like some text on some of these, but you got things that are just, they're like features, and they're not even, I don't think they're that compelling, like various categories, set as wallpaper, share, download. I think for me it depends, and it all depends on whether or not they're getting to this page. So you got the different stages where are people finding it? How's it doing in terms of ASO? Are people actually finding this under wallpaper? If they are, if you're getting those downloads, I mean, if they're not actually going into your page, or how's it showing up in search rankings based on what you want to search for? If they're not going into it then and it's ranking well, then it's this icon. When the icon, I mean, I don't know what else you would do for quotes. Let's take a look at this quotes. Let's do a search on quotes wallpaper. You guys can hear me okay? I have a bad habit of just keep going on and not doing, like, not looking at the bottom of the scroll. Let's see. So let's go to quotes wallpaper. We'll do a search on this. So you actually, so there's a lot of apps that come up. You're way down here, which is okay. That one just says quotes. So that's very similar to that one, Q and in quotes. But I think that's probably okay. Every day is a second chance. That one actually shows a screenshot. So let's have a look at the top one. See what they're doing. So here you got, they've got a few more things there, a few different screenshots. You know, but this talks more about we talk about features and benefits. Let's talk about this. We access beautiful inspirational quotes wallpapers. That's kind of a feature, but a beautiful and inspirational, that could be more of a benefit, because inspire, discover the top inspirational quotes, get the best experience with high quality wallpaper, set any wallpaper as your phone's home screen, stay inspired and achieve your goals. That's a benefit. So I mean, it's just different ways of looking at it, and you can do something, just use those screenshots to better effect, I would think. But you know, that's just my thing. Everyone else, if you have something to say for Jay's app there, go ahead and let him know. And so, I mean, it's good to see you guys this week. Like, you know, it's been kind of a crap week. Elias Sierra says, "Hey Eric, what type of apps do you prefer to make for your own portfolio between utility apps, games, educational, or other specific?" So it all depends. I like doing games, but I'm not, and I think I like, well, probably educational games. Like, I really like doing the game loop and adding animations into it, but it's something we don't do a lot for clients. So you know, when I really get in the zone, and it's just like, and again, like if you look at my portfolio of apps, you won't see a lot of games there, and you'll see apps like, or you'll see games like where bubbles come up, you tap on it, you pop it, and that kind of stuff. So nothing really major, like, but I can see the attraction of it, just being able to sit down, clear your schedule, put your headphones on, and just block out the whole day and just code away at games, and that sounds like really, really good to me. And I've used like tiled and you doing tile maps and things like that, and I love doing that kind of stuff. Just because you have so much creative freedom there, right? And I think one of the reasons we have a lot of these endless runner games is not so much because they're really popular, although they are, but it's also a lot to do with the laziness of developers. I like having the levels and categories and being able to do something where, like, where I can reuse some of the code. So, you know, I like getting things from REST services and parsing the JSON and things like that, but I also like render. I guess I'm just talking in circles, but for my own stuff, my biggest one is more of a utility, but I don't like the lack of fluidity that it has, like that rigid form kind of thing. And when I've been, so this week I've been watching more Flutter tutorials and go in there, and I keep thinking, I'm just thinking Flutter. So I've been watching a lot of those, and what I like about Flutter is the fluidity of the interface. So like you're drawing shapes, you're drawing buttons and everything on there, where we have like a lot of our legacy applications we've got the XML markup, the layout files, and we've got all the images everywhere. And of course, as screen sizes grow, we have to go through and resize all those images. And we have the image up, image down, and everything's just kind of rigid. And I like being able to do stuff more in vector and just being able to draw and have like just that nice thing. If that makes any sense, I mean, it probably doesn't, Elias. But let me know if you want me to get a bit more. But I like just and the reason I do language learning games and educational games is mainly because I'm not a big gamer myself. Like I wouldn't be able to. Like if I played games all the time, I'd probably know, oh, this is what people like, this is what people don't like. But I know that learning languages and I know the rote memorization, I try to make that a bit more interesting there. Bala Morales Trapi says, for client app, can a developer create new Play Store account on behalf of client? Strangely you say that, because I just did a video on that today, which will go out tomorrow, actually. So, but you can, I think what you should do is get them to set it up. Because it's every time I ask a client to set up a Google Play account or an App Store account, they kind of whinge a little bit because they have to go do something. But you know, they have to put all their details in there. They have to go in and create their account and grant you access to it. You should not be going in there set it up for them, because even the stuff like, you know, like when you do the client questionnaire and you say like the ratings one where you say all the, what's it called? You know, where you get the age ratings on there. Both Apple and Google Play have those. Most of the time I'll do those for the client, because if I say, could you just fill this in because it's your guys' app and I don't want my name to be on it, like I say, yeah, I sign off on this. But then they'll spend ages because they'll be going through their legal team and they'll be like, dude, it's really no, save, right? Unless there actually is something. Like, I know what's in the app and I do it. So most of the time I'll do that for them, and I'll do a lot of this stuff for them. But you know, I won't set up an account for them because that's kind of their thing. Frank Diogo Cavalcante says, hi, Eric. I published my first app 7 days ago on Apple Store to promote on Facebook and got 2,500 reach. Cool. But an Apple Store report doesn't have any data. Is it normal? You should have some data in the Apple Store. You should, Frank. You should have, like, yeah, you should have. I mean, Apple Store doesn't have that much data, but they have the new analytics and stuff like that. I mean, I can show you on mine. I don't think there's any reason I can't show you guys my iTunes Connect. But on my Apple, yeah, I really need to get more stuff on the Apple App Store. I removed most everything from it, and I'll show you my screen here in a second. I removed most everything from it, so I get like I get like $7 or $8 or something a day from it, and that's, you know, where before it was like 30 or 40. Because I removed a lot of my language learning apps and I need to consolidate them, and it's just been a thing. So let me just go through and remove it from my client application. So yeah, let me just show my screen here again. So this is for Frank. If you go to, you got the My Apps and you got the Sales and Trends. Sales and Trends is mostly where I go, but that just gives you like your download numbers. I'm going to show you this, even though I haven't looked at this in ages. Most of the time, Rowena on my team, she'll go through and do it. Oh, it's not gonna load. Oh, here we go. So yeah, my in-app purchases, my sales for last whatever. So we don't have a lot here. App units. For this is, I guess, is for the last month. So you should see on like a day-to-day basis how many people are actually downloading, how many sales you're getting in. Actually, this doesn't look too bad. But I mean, it's not great, but this is kind of how it goes. Now, if you want to go into your app analytics section, that gives you a lot more data. So you should at least see something there. And this is kind of like the client acquisition report. What is it? Oh, what am I doing? On the Google, I'm blanking here. So you should be able to see who's downloading, the number of impressions versus the number of units versus the number of sales versus the number of sessions, crashes. And units would be the number of downloads, sales would be the number of purchases, and sessions would be the number of times it's actually been opened. Is that right? So the impressions, that's the one you're thinking whether or not you're ranking for. The units would be how many times they're actually downloading it, etc., etc., etc. And we've got a few games here. None of them are really for clients, and a lot of these, most of them, they're no longer even published anymore, so that's why they're not on there anymore. So hopefully, Frank, yeah, have a look at that. You should see something. That's kind of the kind of stuff you should see. CH Development says, hey, Eric. Hey, how's it going, CH Development? UD says, let me just move this up here so I don't have to look down at you guys. UD says, hi, Eric. What are your best tips for managing multiple clients and projects at once with all the different stages, design, dev, launch, and whilst dealing with leads? Thank you. Oh, yeah. Talk to me about clients this week. So UD, so we have like different reports. We have like for like, you know, it's really embarrassing when somebody says, so how many projects do you have on at the moment? And you're like counting them on your fingers. So what we do is we use HubSpot, and I would show you mine, but we got all the client names on it. So we use HubSpot with a pipeline report, although all the CRMs out there have a pipeline report. We were using like, I did have like a Trello board to keep track of them. And what I find is that using a CRM works better. And we went through all kinds of stuff. And finally now we've got the paid version of HubSpot, which works pretty well. So what we have is we have a process where if somebody goes through, if they call or if they put in, they fill in the form on our website, it automatically creates a deal in the pipeline and it goes into the left column and we just drag it through each one. So it starts with a deal, we get a ballpark quote. If they're happy with the ballpark quote, it goes to the phone call. If after that phone call, if we give a more like tight quote, if they're happy, well, more tight ballpark, if they're happy with that, then we'll go to the face-to-face meeting or the longer telephone call, depending on the location. And then based on that, then we'll do the quote, and then the quote gets paid, and then it moves, and then we move it out of that pipeline. Like most of the time, that's like a typical sales pipeline, right? So you could see which stage they are, and like if somebody doesn't move past the ball, like we give somebody a ballpark quote and they don't respond, somebody should follow up with that. And then, but then what we've done differently is we set up a second pipeline, which is just projects in progress. So I can see, you know, what's waiting first payment, what's in the design phase, what's in the development phase, what's in the testing phase, that kind of stuff. Just I got a ballpark, and it also helps me to see how much money should be coming in and what we need to clear and how long it's been since anything's moved. So if something gets stuck in that pipeline, then it that's when you know you need to move on it. So, but yeah, and I've tried everything, UD. I've tried. You know, I think when it comes to project management softwares, I've tried. Started off with Basecamp, Active Collab, PH Project. I think PH Project became Active Collab, which was a paid-for thing. We used Jira. We've used I can't even remember. Some of them just came and went like really fast, and then we settled on we just using HubSpot for a lot of our project stuff, even though it's more of a sales type of thing. So, but it works pretty well. Vuko says, hi. Hey, Vuko, how's it going? Let's see. What else we got? Jose Zay. Is it Jose Zay? Jose says, Eric, how can you be inspired to have a good and functional app ideas? How can I be inspired? A lot of times, there's so much that you could do out there with that. I mean, obviously, I have more ideas than things I actually work on. I mean, I have a lot of half-finished projects that I'll start, and for me, it's always whether or not I want to invest in it. So, like a lot of people, like if you're an app developer, you know, people seem to think that you have loads of time, but we have clients, we have all kinds of stuff. So if somebody says, I got this app idea, Eric, and you and I go 50-50 on it, and if you work on it, it's like I don't have an hour, I don't have 2 hours a day to work on this thing. I don't have an hour a day to work on this. I would have to get one of my developers on it, and then all of a sudden we're talking about how much I'm going to pay to do it and all that kind of stuff. And so a lot of times I have these app ideas and I'm writing them down, and I have this list of stuff where I just I put them down like, yeah, that would be a good idea. Yeah, that would work. And I hear so many other app ideas from people, and a lot of the time, they go through the rigorous, got to do an NDA, got to do all, like how do I, even this week, I keep getting the same thing through our contact thing. Says, all right, so how much would it cost to do an app like this, and how do I know you're not going to steal my idea? Right? I hate it when somebody emails like, how do I know you're not going to steal my idea? It's like, I don't have enough time to even pounce on my own ideas, right? So, and that's the whole thing about, ideas are worth anything. They're not, but I mean, it's really what you want to push forward on and move on. You know, it's like when we see a lot of this stuff out there that's just junk, a lot of the apps on the App Store that are junk, the problem is not that the developer didn't have a good idea. The problem is that the developer probably didn't trust their own ideas, and they looked to see what was working, and they're going to copy that because they're investing their time and money, or their time or money, or both, into that. And it's a more sure bet, they think, which it isn't. They think it's a more sure bet to do something that's already working. You know, to do a clone to something or do a reskin. But really, it would be better if they did their own idea. But you know, that's also, you know, it's difficult. I don't think there's anybody. I honestly don't think there's anybody out there lacking on app ideas. But you know, maybe it's just me. Hawk says, "Good morning." Hey, good morning, Hawk. Let's see. Frank says, shares his app over here. Let's see. Can you suggest some improvements about my app on iTunes? Okay, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this on. Let's just go over to. So we're gonna have a look at Frank's app here. So this is Frank app's called Raffle Name, and we've got. Oh, I like these screenshots actually. I like the way it's different thing, but I think you should have some text on it. Raffle Name. Raffle Name is a simple, easy, and funny app. You can create unlimited lists, and each list can have unlimited name. The raffle can be recorded and shared on a social network. So I'm just by reading that, Frank. I mean, this again, it's just me. I don't understand what it does yet. Let's see. So if I go, so we've got names, tickets. Okay, so I could put a raffle, like Raffle Name, Lucas Charles. So basically I add names in and it randomly selects one. That might be yeah, does anybody else have any feedback on that? I think I'm trying to think of like the use case for it, in terms of like how and who would buy it. So would it be something like every time I do a raffle, I seem to be at some sort of charity event or something. So is that something that you would go to, like a charity event? Also, I know it's a name, so you don't have a space there, but I mean, you might want to just make sure that you got the ASO, like you're ranking for the term raffle if somebody's searching for that. You know, raffle, space name, or have like a subtitle with, you know, the raffle name, the raffle chooser, or something like that. Just so you have those other keywords in the title, because you have plenty of space there for that. But I mean, what do the rest of you guys think about that one? You guys can see the screen, right? All right, so let's see. Rick Calver, hey Rick, how's it going? Says, we will either have to embrace universal income. Oh, we still have, yeah, sorry, it's a bit behind on this. We will either have to embrace universal income, move to the left, or embrace entrepreneurialism, move to the right. Voices from my kids' generation make me think the former is most likely. I think, but I prefer moving towards entrepreneurialism. History has shown that all debts paid either green or in crimson. I hope we can avoid paying in crimson. Yeah, this is what I mean, I would prefer that we just continue to innovate and move forward. But I think it's a lot of, I mean, there's risk in innovation. And what would be nice in terms of having a basic universal income is to remove the risk, but also still have the reward, right? It's like one of the things, like the NHS, I don't have any problem with the NHS. I know, like in the States, they talk about, socialized medicine or whatever. But one of the things about the NHS that I like about being in England is that that's one thing I don't have to worry about. Like if I want to go, when I started my company, I didn't have to think, oh, what if I get sick? What if what if the kids get sick? What if, what am I going to do, like for medical, medical insurance and everything like that? That was one thing I didn't have to think about because I'm on basically the same boat as everyone else. But having said that, because it's because it's our taxpayers going to it, we probably don't get the same medical care that somebody who's paying high premiums does on that kind of stuff. So it's give and take. And I think if you ever do anything with the government, say I was in the army, but even just anything that was like a government institution, like you have to go to the DVLA or the DMV in the States. It's like the worst experience. You got people there who are just, they're anchored in. They don't get fired. It's not based on merit. They're just, they work their way up the ranks, and they're not motivated by doing a really good job necessarily. I hope I'm not offending anybody, but that's just my opinion. And it is the monetary gain. Like my whole thing is I know that I gotta be marketable, and I know I gotta be employable, just in case, all the time. I still think that, even though I'm doing the Overpass stuff, even though I'm committed to this, I'm still in the back of my mind thinking I have to keep this stuff ready just in case, because that's what you do. And you see, and it bothers me that people think they don't ever have to be that way. And what I would hope that would happen is that if we do have a universal basic income, it doesn't become something where everybody just plays video games all day long or something. I hope that we would all improve the human condition. Or I'll turn like WALL-E. WALL-E's that movie, that cautionary movie, where everyone has those chairs. God, I'd love one of those chairs. If I had one of those chairs with a screen on it, I could just float around all the time. Dude, I'd take it. I don't care if I get those big fat legs and the round body. But that's just me. Cooper says, hey Alex, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? Do you think games get more sales than casual apps? I don't know. I think games, I don't know. I think that's probably a statistic you could look up. I don't know what the actual one is. My opinion is, I don't do games that much because there's just so much competition out there. However, there's a lot of really terrible games. Like when Riffat was here, he said something, I hope you don't mind me saying this, Riffat. You said, if you build it, they will come. And I've always been like, no, that's not true, because you have to focus on marketing, because if nobody knows it exists, they won't come. And then he said, everyone thinks that, but he said, you have to build something good. And what people are doing is they're building a skateboard and telling everybody it's a car or something. I think it was something like that. And we're not putting the quality in because we're rushing to just get something out there, which I believe in doing the minimum viable product, but I think we got so much junk going onto the App Store. Like one app does really well, and we got loads of clones and loads of things. Flappy Birds are really good for my business, because once people saw Flappy Birds, they said, I have an app idea too. Instead of birds, well, let's do it with cats or whatever. And everybody had the same thing. Think, oh, is it that easy? I remember at the fart machine thing came out, everybody thought I could do an app too and become a millionaire. But it's not that easy, as we all know. Rodrigo, hey, Eric's live. Hey, Rodrigo, how's it going? Rodrigo's been setting up his Mac this week, so it's pretty cool. I mean, he's joining the he's joining the prisoners in the Mac world. Jalapathy Rao says, hey Eric, I don't really understand how few apps earns money like Slide, unlocking app, or some other apps. Can you give some example of one advertisement earnings for an app owner? Thanks. So do these types of apps only dependent on advertisements or any other way of income they receive? I'm sorry, my question is silly. And it's not a silly question. This is something I think about too. Like we did an app where it was just a home screen widget. It was like the second or third app we did. Didn't do very well. And one of the problems I found with it was like the only place I could serve an ad was on the settings screen, right? It was so like you would go to setting. It was a countdown widget timer. There was loads of them at the time, and it was called Time Goal. I think it might. I don't know if it's still live. It might still be live, but it's just like the problem I had with it is like monetizing it. So I thought, well, it would be a paid app, but nobody bought it, so I came up with a free app. So the advertisements were on the settings screen, because I couldn't put advertisements on the home screen of the app because you're just setting up home screen widgets, and that was something I thought was really low value. And this is the same thing when we get to wallpaper apps. Maybe we should ask Jay about this. So the wallpaper apps, I remember meeting a wallpaper app creator, and my whole thing was, how do you earn money from it? And I think he was doing something else, but I think he just in-app purchases on his. And this is one of the things where I think there's all these other revenue streams out there that are kind of dodgy. Like I tell you, I talk about this all the time. People call up and say, "Oh, you don't even have to show ads. You get revenue from us. All you have to do is include our SDK in your app, and it needs to have access to the microphone, right?" And I was like, Why? Why you need? It's for marketing purposes. We help marketing companies, all this stuff, and it sounds like legitimate, but in the end, I think it just like I can't just say I need access to the microphone and not be able to demonstrate why I need access to the microphone. And it's creepy. Like I don't know who they are. I don't know what, like, and when I say, can you tell me some of your other customers who are using this SDK? And I said, well, we prefer to keep that information private. And I think, well, you know what? I'm not doing it. But I don't know who is doing it. And there's other, remember what AirPush used to send push notifications when you install an application, and it would send those push notifications to you with ads on them. I was tempted to put those in my app. I don't think you can do them anymore. I don't know if they still exist. But I was tempted to put those into my app early on, and my kids were like, don't do that, Dad. Everybody hates those things. So yeah, I think about that with apps that you don't see any ad revenue. You don't see any purchases. You think, how are they really making any money from this? And it might be that they're just using your data for something else. Like Facebook, we know how Facebook makes money. They just watch what you do, and they're able to sell you ad or show you ads based on the kind of stuff that you like. But other apps, I'm not quite sure. But it's a really good question. Khalid Elbaz says, hello, Eric. Can I add a tab in my app where I promote t-shirts and hoodies that have illustrations related to my niche? Is that against Google's policy? I don't think it is. No, I wouldn't think so, because you've got other apps like Wish that's all they do is sell physical products. So I wouldn't imagine so. I mean, we've had a tab, well, not a tab, we had like a menu option in Ear Agent, where you could register for a newsletter. I mean, if you can't do it in the app, you can do a newsletter type thing if you can figure out a way to do it. And then that way you could at least try to get that through and send people to a web page. And then if you did use like affiliate links, then at least you're on a web browser and not doing it through the app. But yeah, I don't think it's against the terms and conditions, against any policies. Anyone else out there knows any different, let us know. Elias Sierra says, thanks, Eric. How about your favorite revenue stream? Do you prefer in-app purchases or just paid versions of each app? I'm worried about releasing a paid version since it will be the first one-time payment. So I did a video about this, I think it went out today, where I've been talking to a lot of people who have like just paid apps on iOS, and they're able to get the purchases through. Now, and I wonder, because they were saying, do you think I should do a free app? And I said, you know what, if this is working, maybe a free app would actually hurt you, because people are able to try it first, and maybe it's just getting them to pay for it first, like you would any other product. But for me, I've always done free apps with in-app purchases and then paid apps, and people do sometimes prefer to do the paid apps, like they just don't want to mess around with the rest of it. So I mean, I think it's better to do it. So my favorite revenue stream, AdMob, I prefer ads because it brings me the most. But in terms of like, if I could trade, like if my in-app purchases paid, or my in-app purchases and purchases, I consider them the same thing, because they come from the same pot, right? They come from either Google or Apple. If I could get more from that, I would prefer to do that. It's less sleazy. Nobody likes ads, really. Nobody does. And in order to make more money from ads, you either have to have more downloads or more ad placements, and then it gets more, you know, and I hate when people complain about the ads in an application. Of course, I've had in-app purchases where people say, it's not really free though, is it? Right? I think, well, yeah, you got to make money somehow from it. So you try to add those extra things in it, or you have the remove ads functionality in there. But I mean, I think because people have said it to me, yeah, I think I responded to a comment on a video earlier this year, maybe late last year, where somebody said, why don't developers take more pride in their work and stop with all these ads, right? And I thought, yeah, there's a point there. I mean, I could totally understand that, but free is what works at the moment. Free is what, people don't just get the free version because they're cheap. They get it because it's less risky. I mean, they don't have to feel like an idiot, right? If you ever paid for something and found out you could get it for free or get it for cheaper, it's not so much the fact that you paid for it, it's the fact that you found out that you've been had. That's the thing that bothers me a lot of the time. So, Agadao Aika says, hello, Eric. In the last stream, you saw my app. It was clear that I was missing a lot in the screenshots of the Play Store. You said that I should focus on the benefits and not the features. I made some changes. I would very much like for you to tell me how if it has improved. Okay, we'll have a look at that. Let's see. So we'll have a quick. Well, first let's ask David's question. David Kitto says, on iOS, have you ever had to implement a custom in-app keyboard? I have been having to done one for my first app, and I was wondering if I could get away with circular buttons like an old typewriter. I've never done like. Are you talking about like doing a keyboard app like it's a swipe? Because I know you can do custom keyboards now. Or are you talking about like in the application where you actually have buttons and everything that do the keyboard? Because I have a client where they have an app that we're taking over, and they have an actual keyboard within the app. Like they coded it because they had trouble bringing the default keyboard up, and that's So or are you talking about? And I think that's a bad idea all the time. Because you don't take care of internationalizations, emojis, all that stuff. But are you talking about doing like a custom keyboard app? Because I've never done that. I have no idea how that would work. But I would imagine you should be able to do circular buttons, though. I'm afraid I'm not quite sure about that, David. I've never really tried it. I have no idea how that's even done. But that would be cool to have circular ones. But I suppose you would have to make sure that it works on. I suppose you'd have to test it out. Landscape, portrait, iPad, 12-inch, iPad, whatever, and do all the different ones. So we're gonna look at Agadao Aika's app here, which he made some changes since last week. It's called Feed List, and I think last week was we had a look at this and we weren't quite sure what it did. So he's made some changes here. Create and customize your news. Okay, so let's have a look. Feed list, custom news feeds. Create and customize your news feeds. Organize content in social networks in one place. Add the profiles that you interest to feed. I think you need to change the language on that one. I'm not sure. See everything they post in one place. Discover social networking posts easily with Explorer feed. Turn on notifications. Always know that some profiles post some of the profiles post something new. See what feeds your friends are creating. I mean, Agadao, I would. And again, this is just my personal opinion. Is that if I was going to look at this, I would think that the benefit I would find is that I only have to check one application, right? You don't have to, no more checking Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and all these other things. Check everything in one place, never miss anything. The world is moving too fast, yada, yada, yada. You can't keep up with everything. So try Feed List and keep on top of everything. That's the kind of, when I talk about the benefits, that would be the benefit. Like how you are a busy person, you don't have time to checking all these apps, the world is moving too fast, and you're trying to be relevant in the social media sphere, and you're trying to see everything that's going on, but you just don't have the time because life is busy and hectic. So use Feed List and make your life easier. That would be like a benefit. That's just my opinion. I mean, the rest of you guys, like, what do you think? And 500 plus installs. We're at 26 reviews. But I assume, so when I said about the language, I could see that none of the reviews are here. So there must be, I mean, I know this might not be the core audience. So which language are you targeting, Agadao? I mean, like your primary language. So I'm assuming it's not English because I can't see the reviews. Ashwin Dwivedi says, "Hi Eric, can you tell me how to increase game app downloads quickly? How can I cut the learning curve in Android or any other technology? Can you give me your email?" You could. I mean, my emails. You could email Overpass, but I'm really busy in terms of like one-on-one stuff. Ashwin, sorry about that, but cut the learning curve in Android or any other technology. It depends on what the learning curve is. You have to learn it, right? There's ways to cut. Like if I wanted to learn how to connect to a REST service, there's certain things I would do. It doesn't mean I need to learn every step along the way, but I would take shortcuts into learning. It's like saying how how would you cut the learning curve of learning Chinese, right? You would be find out what it is you want to learn. What is it you want to say? How do you say that, right? You're not going to learn the entire language, but you're going to learn what you need to know in order to do what you need to do. So you're focused on the goal there, but it's a broad question, if that makes any sense. Let's see. Rodrigo says, if they ask you something too often, how do I know you won't steal my idea? Make a good template answer that can make them feel comfortable and improve over time as you get more clients. I know, yeah, we do need to come up with a better template for that. Jalapathy says, thank you so much. I have an excellent plan. Looking for some investors, which goes on viral for sure. Any suggestions? Good app plan I have. I don't have any ideas, I'm afraid, Jalapathy. But you know, if there's any investors out there, Jalapathy's looking for them. Pratik G says, hi. Can you suggest some Google Play Store alternatives? So you have, well, the biggest one would be Amazon, right? Amazon is the biggest Play Store alternative. And then you have Samsung Store, which I don't know if they're still around, but I think Huawei has taken. I think the Huawei Store has taken a lot of the steam away from that. So, I have never posted anything on Huawei Store. I feel like I should have done. The minute I heard it was out there, I should have done it, but I didn't. I think I'm just waiting to hear some success stories, but I haven't heard any. Nobody's kind of says, "Oh man, Eric, you got to go on a Huawei Store," because that's just, you know. But so there's that, and also in the Chinese market has loads, and there's so many different app stores for Android out there. But I think Google Play takes the lion's share of it. But if I had to go for a second one, like for some reason I wasn't able to go on Google Play, I'd go on Amazon, because you know, they're not only are they there for the Kindle Fire and those apps, they're also trying to get more into the Android sphere, even though, you know, they don't. So so yeah, David, so keyboard without a space bar. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Oh, let's see. So yeah, David, I'm not sure how to do a keyboard. I mean, it would be really cool though, because it must be an SDK that you do it. But yeah, I wish I knew more about it. I've never ever done that. Let's see. I'd appreciate if you give me your. So Elias Sierra says, I appreciate if you get your opinion or tips to improve this app, domaincheckerapp.com. So let's have a look at this. This is for Elias. Let's see. Screen share. So domain checker app. Domain checker. Search for domains on the go. Keep track of your search history easily and secure. Domain checker. Check if your next .com idea is available on the go. 10 plus TLDs supported. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So you got on App Store, Kindle. So this is like a whois check kind of thing. Keep track of your favorite domain ideas. Recheck available anytime. Domainidea.com. Turn off TLDs anytime. Focus on what really matters. Cool. And you got, I like this landing page. This is a pretty good landing page. I think for me, Elias, I'm wondering whether or not it's, you have an app for something that, I'm wondering how often people do that. I mean, I suppose there are people out there who need to do it a lot. But let's have a look. Let's have a look at Google Play. You guys see the screen, right? Okay, so I like the screenshots. I do like the screenshots. I think you did a really, really good job with the screenshots on this. You've got good reviews. You've been responding to all the reviews. 1,000 plus installs. So I mean, yeah, it looks like you're doing pretty well. I actually like that. I don't know if domain check, official domain checker icon. Let's have a look in terms of how it's ranking. If I go check for domain check, oh, actually, there's a few. Ooh, but you're third, so that's not bad. But looks like there's kind of a lot out there. It looks good to me, Elias. I mean, what do the rest of you guys think? See, I'm sorry if I get to you guys' response. I'm asking questions when I look at these things, and I'm only getting to your responses after that. So Agadal says he's focused on Brazil, Portuguese. Yeah, I think the English text might need to be changed a little bit on those, just because it sounds a bit awkward. But it depends. But that's when I'm looking at it. Atesh Max says, what do you think about Freelancer as an Android developer? Do you mean hiring a freelancer or becoming a freelancer? I think it's good to become a freelancer if you can get the work in. But there's a lot of other freelancers out there. Somebody's asking me, Rodrigo was asking me this week if I thought about putting Overpass on Upwork, and I have in the past, and I just found it to be such low value stuff that came in if we got anything through, and it's like I think it's something, but you can build yourself a name for that. So building your portfolio, Atesh, build your portfolio as a freelancer so that you could show people what you're doing. So when somebody says, I need somebody to work on my Android app, then you could say, yeah, here's everything I've done for all these other people, and here's some of my own that I've done. Because that's something that just seems to be so lacking. That portfolio, I don't understand why talk to any developer or designer who doesn't have a portfolio is just crazy in this day and age. Sentinel says, Sentinel, cool name. Which type of apps other than games would one need to test compatibility on specific models or brands of devices? So I think this is a good question, because I talk a lot about doing device testing, and when you get to Android, you don't really need, I mean, there's so many, you can't test on all of them. iOS is a bit easier because you've only got like a handful, and only a few that are currently supported, so they phase them out or they stop upgrading them. So like there's a lot of, like the iPhone 5 doesn't upgrade to iOS 11, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot you don't have to worry about, and you only have to focus on a few. But on the Android side, there's so many that for me, I think it has to do when you have something that's really low level. So like on Ear Agent, we have certain types of phones where we don't have I think it was like on Lenovo phones, Android 4.2.2, we were getting this crash on it, and it was just like this thing where I just noticed it in Google Play. Like I couldn't test on all of it, but in the end I just removed it. And sometimes we get stuff from people who say doesn't work on the Galaxy S4. This is a while ago. Doesn't work on the Galaxy S4. And what I was doing it then was I was just like removing all the Galaxy S4s, but then I found out that other people do have it work on the S4. So it might be something else environmental. So it's kind of thing where you can't test all devices on Android, but you should go through and look at your crash reports and see if there's any patterns there. Sometimes things will crash for whatever reason. Maybe there might be code. There might be a coding reason where you just didn't handle something properly. Maybe they're running out of disk space. Maybe it tried to connect to the internet and it didn't have internet connectivity, and it didn't fail gracefully and it crashed. But sometimes you can see that it's crashing on a certain line number, and you're like, why is that happening there? And then it gives you, then you have a clue. You have a clue, and you start going through and Googling, why is it only happening on 4.2.2 Lenovo, triggering the microphone, that kind of stuff. So this is always good. Another thing about like when Android 6, I think it was Android 6 came out, they started doing the granular permission. So I thought as long as it's in my Android manifest, I should be fine. But then no, I had to make sure that they didn't turn that off and check for that permissions and all that stuff. So, but that was one of the things I didn't figure out until I went on a physical device. But I should have known. I should have been like, it's kind of my own fault for not knowing that. Fist007 says, what do you think about contacting a brand and show them what kind of numbers you have? Numbers and downloads and such, and sell them dedicated ad space on your apps. So Fist007, I did that once. I think I told you guys about this. I may have told you guys about this. When so EarSpy was like the top spy app, and I went on. This is before Spectre came out, the James Bond movie. So this is 3-4 years ago, 2-3. I can't remember what it was, but it was a while ago. So I just started. I emailed Sony Pictures. With GDPR, I probably couldn't do it now, but I just went on LinkedIn, found out who the managing director of Sony Pictures in Europe was. I emailed him, said I got the top spy app, but I would email like lots of people, and he came back saying, "Yeah, talk to this person." And I had a meeting in London where I went, and we pitched them on doing reskinning the app for the Grimsby movie with Mark Strong and Sacha Baron Cohen. But in the end, it never went through. And I have contacted like other gadget manufacturers and stuff, or hearing aid companies, and most of the time they don't even come back. They're like not even, they'll have like affiliate links, and then there's one spy manufacturing shop. I thought that would be perfect because we could like put their stuff on there, dedicated, or probably get more than I did do from AdMob. It's exactly who their clients are, and I couldn't get anybody on the phone, so it's just maybe I should try a bit harder, but I just think they didn't really see the benefit of it. But that's a good idea. So at one AdMob function I went to, they said the progression should be you start with something like AdMob, and then as you start to get more traction, you want to find sponsorship so you could get it's more of a dedicated sponsor because you'll get more from them. But I haven't actually done it. Fist 007. Zed's dead. Zed said, "Hi Eric, I got an offer on Freelancer for $5. Don't know how people work for this low on Upwork." I don't know either. I mean, this is one of the, I need to do a video. This is the video idea I had this morning, which I think I might do for Monday, was that client work is hard, right? It's not hard because it's the work. It's hard because you're dealing with clients and their expectations and making sure that you meet them. So you should never do client work for peanuts. I mean, there's so many people out there who do client work for peanuts, which makes it difficult for the rest of us who can't work for $5. But we have to make sure that it's done right the first time and add quality and things like that. Make sure that if somebody hires us, that they know that the job can get done and know that it could be done well, and they also have that peace of mind that if you've ever bought anything or paid for a service and you went for the cheapest option, there's always that doubt in your mind that you should have probably got the more expensive one, or you're looking for problems. You're always looking for problems, thinking there's got to be some reason why this one's so much cheaper than that one over there. So you're constantly watching for that kind of stuff, and that's something that people would do if they hired. Like if you were like the cheapest developer out there, you would just be so miserable, not only because you're not making enough money, but because everyone would expect that you would be inferior in terms of what you're doing. Whereas if you charge more, you make more money. But I honestly don't know how people could do it. I think it is important as developers to have some sort of self-respect, and also to anticipate that. I mean, as developers, if you do client work, you hear this all the time. They're always calling me. I spent more time in meetings than even covers my costs, that kind of stuff. But you have to anticipate that kind of stuff. That stuff happens, and what's going to happen is you're going to say, okay, it's going to cost this much, and they'll say that's too expensive, and you have to say, that's okay. Well, that's how much it's going to cost, because then you have to have your pipeline full, so you have options. You have to have options all the time. ESL Phonics says on holiday in Colipe. Just popping in to say hi. Hey, ESL Phonics, how's it going? Great. Is it Greta? Eric, how can a junior approach a job listing which requires having a shipped app? As an employer yourself, is the only solution to ship an app, or would having an app in the works suffice? I would say apply for it anyway. Apply for it and say that you have it in the works, right? Say, this is the application. I'm happy to show you the code. It's nearly completed. We're going through some final checks, whatever, but apply for it anyway. You don't know who else is applying for that job, and your code may be better than anybody else's. Anybody can go on Chupa Mobile or one of the other reskinning sites and buy some code and upload it and say, there's my app, right? But you do that and start building up that portfolio, not just of released apps, but of code. Say that this is some of the stuff that we're working on, and if you could show that you are, as a junior developer, I would much rather hire a junior developer who was dedicated and motivated and like a real player. Like they get their teeth sunk into something. And by the way, it's very rare to find somebody like that, than somebody who's just really established and they're like, they almost think they got this chip on their shoulder, because why would I be working from you when I'm this big, great developer? I used to work at Microsoft, blah, 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 right? So, I mean, being a junior developer is not necessarily a bad thing, but you got to sell yourself a little bit there. The Four Fats, oh, nice name, says, you can block OpenGL2. That'll block most garbage Android phones. Okay. Block OpenGL2. Okay. Yeah, I mean, for the business apps, we don't really have so much trouble. We have had clients this is something we have had clients where we do an app for them, and then they come back saying it doesn't look good on this phone. Like they go in and got the cheapest phone they could get from, not even from like a phone store, just whatever, and you're like, God, yeah, you're right. That would be a good idea. OpenGL2. I'll have to remember that. I'll write that one down. Thanks, Forfats. Khalid El-Ba says, one of my users left a review telling me that he got an error on Google Play Store while trying to install my app, and they suggested it's because of the emoji that I have in my app style. Do you know anything about emojis causing software problems? No, that sounds like it doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense to me, that the title of the app would make any change, Khalid. But no, all you have to do is try to download it. Find out what phone he's using and then try to, well, no, I've never heard of that. That doesn't make it, unless it's in the package name, right? Which wouldn't make any sense. Rodrigo says, does Upwork take a cut? Yeah, pretty sure they do. Let's see. But yeah, I know they do. I hired a lot of people on Upwork, but I'm trying to think whether or not that's the case. Omega Doom says, hey Eric, happy Friday. Happy Friday. I haven't recognized any apps published recently on your Overpass Android account. I know, man, that's terrible. Are you not as interested in publishing new apps, or do you plan to stick to a launch schedule? So Omega Doom, this is one of the things I've been thinking about a lot this week, is that I need to get cracking in terms of my own apps, right? I do a lot of updates of the apps that we have, and I think we've been doing so much on client work where I'm run off my feet with this, and so I took my video this week about the problems this week. And one of the things I intend to do is just to slow down a little bit and start focusing a bit on my own products, right? I get paid. So you guys see my revenue report. It's about the same. It's about $3,000 a month, £3,000 a month, which is not enough for all that we do, but it's still good. Like I haven't increased that amount. What I should be doing more of is to say, how do we get that to be more? How do we grow that monthly revenue, which is it's just there. It's like comes in, but I'm chasing the client work all the time, which is difficult. It's difficult just to go for the client work, but it's more money coming in for the client work, or at least it should be. But I need to focus more on our own stuff, because it's almost like this. Yeah, and I need to grow it, and it's something you're absolutely right, Omega Doom. You've called me out for the fraud that I am. It's been a while. It's been a while since I put anything out there, and I know that I do the videos every day, and part of me is that guilt in it, like I need to get out there and do more. Yeah, I'm constantly looking at the ones that I do a lot. I do so much for clients lately that I just haven't had a chance to focus on my own applications. But yeah. Let's see. Rodrigo says, I think I'm going to list myself on Upwork one of these days. I mean, it doesn't hurt to list yourself on there. I mean, I don't think so. It's like you might get something through on Upwork, and you could always say no. So let's see. Stephen Dew says, hey, Eric, I came across your channel a couple of weeks ago after researching my own app built. It's a great channel. Keep up the good work. Hey, thanks very much, Stephen. I really appreciate it. Yeah, this week it was the first couple days where I missed a few days, and I felt really guilty. I only missed 2 days. It felt like a week. It felt like when I started back up again, I thought, like, it's like if you missed going to, like if you don't go to the gym for a few days, it's hard to get back into that. Or if you don't go to like if there's something you do on a regular basis and you stop, you think, oh, maybe I just don't do that anymore. But no, I have to force myself, because this is the fun thing I do in the day. Like so much stress in the day, but I love doing the videos every day, so I really appreciate it, Stephen. Although, as Omega Doom has pointed out, I need to get more apps out there. So that's what I'm going to do in the next few months. Elidor Verosi says, hey, I just failed in my calculus exam, so it's time to publish something in Play Store after 2 long years. That's terrible, Elidor. Yeah, sorry to hear that, but I mean, can you retake the calculus exam just to be on the safe side? Do a calculus app. Do an app to help learn calculus. Is that possible? And then that would help you study for the retake at the same time as do that. And do that. Devco says, hi Eric, I just do. Good. I love that. I love people who do. I'm getting so tired of people who just talk. And I know, as Omega Doom says, maybe I'm just a talker, but you know, there's people who do. Like, I think I told you guys about this when I was working with I was working at this one project at an investment bank, and I was like leading this project, and they brought somebody in who was like, oh, you could use this guy from this other department. He knows SQL Server. I said, okay, cool, because we were just like behind and everything. So, oh, good. So I sat him down and I go, so whatever the manager's name said, you know, SQL Server. You could really help us out just writing this one part of the database. And he says, yeah, I did know SQL Server, but I'm a project manager now, so I'm not a developer anymore. So if I was going to do any development, that would be like a step down for me. And I wanted to smack him. I was like, being a developer, someone who actually produces something as opposed to somebody who doesn't, and you're sitting there, that's a step down because you decided you're going to move up the chain and just be the guy who tells other people what to do. And then when the economy tanks, you're the one that's going to be out there on the street because nobody needs you because you can't produce anything. I prefer to be someone who can do. I prefer someone who produce something. And I know it's just code, but it is something where you start with nothing and you produce something. And this is one of the things as software developers, if you look at anywhere out there in the economy, you see there's lots of jobs that you could replace with automation. There's lots of things that could be made more efficient through applications, through software, right? But people aren't doing it because, well, probably for economical reasons, maybe nobody's thought of it or whatever. And there's lots of opportunities out there, but it's for the people who can do, who could produce and put stuff out there on the App Store. So. Let's see. Hawk says, good night, Eric. Thanks for the session. Gonna hit the sack. It's 2 a.m. I can barely keep my eyes open. All right. Good night, Hawk. Omega. I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I think we've answered all the questions. An hour and 5 minutes. This is pretty good. I'm going to get home and have dinner at a decent time tonight. It will be pizza. Oh, probably be pizza. Most likely it will be pizza. It's comic relief night, so maybe I'll watch a bit of comic relief too. Let's see. Fist007 says, yeah, I'm a SQL Server guy. I was a SQL Server guy for like, I love stored procedures, but like now I do most of everything. I do MySQL, so I don't. Yeah, I haven't done SQL Server in a while. Omega Doom says, was going to say, didn't mean to guilt you. Love your videos. She's also curious what market research you do conduct before developing an app. There's so many things I need to get on the ball with Omega Doom. It's not like I don't have the ideas. It's just I don't have the time. Stephen Dew says, do you have a recommendation on where to hire UK new development talent? The business is new and I haven't got much personal cash to put in. However, I don't want a cheap/rubbish Upwork developer. Stephen, yeah, I mean it's difficult. I would say you hire Overpass, but yeah, I mean if you could get somebody who would work from home, that might be really good. If you want somebody who's UK, and if that's important to you, and if you get somebody who will do some stuff like freelance, but at the same time, like a lot of clients come to us, they say, I have this developer, he was a friend of mine, lived down the street, lived in the same town, or I knew him from a previous job, and he was working on this, but he just stopped emailing me back, or he stopped doing this because he was doing it as a favor, or he was doing it like in his part-time. And when somebody does something part-time, you get to that stage where you stop doing it. I remember doing a part-time job, and like not a part-time job, like a part-time project. I was working my last permanent employment, which was ages ago. I took on this freelance job in the evenings, and it was just nightmare because it seemed like every waking hour I had, they were chasing me about something or doing something else, or this isn't working, that isn't working, and now I was like, I just want to work on it. I wish I could get out of this. So, and I think a lot of freelance developers get in that situation, but yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, check Upwork, because you check Upwork and you could probably find somebody in the UK on Upwork, and then at least you can find it. Because if you only need like for a few hours a day, then that's something. Also, because you're in the UK, you can do like. You can do nearshoring like Romania and stuff like that, but I am so, oh God, it takes a while to find somebody who's good and somebody you trust, and and there's some days where I just want to quit, man. I do it. Wait, what do you mean this base 64 string? Wait, hang on a second. Who's been testing this? Why am I the one testing this? Why am I the one who could get this to work, but nobody else could? That kind of stuff. Yeah, it infuriates me. But yeah, Steven, good luck with it. Let me know. Yeah, let me know how that goes, because I've never hired anybody in the UK to do software, but I've been hired a lot in the UK to do software. So But that's that. And Fist007 says MySQL does have stored procedures with V5 too. Yeah, but I've never used them. Anyway, thank you very much everybody for coming to the live stream this week. And thanks for supporting the channel. Sorry I missed a couple days this week. I will talk to you guys next week on the live stream, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on the daily video. All right, see you guys later. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Taking this blindfold off to see what this life's all about. Through my virtues to the